8 months ago, Scott Summers, aka Cyclops of the X-Men, went face to face with the Inhuman Nation. He died in an attempt to save his race. But things aren't always as it seems. Shortly after, a truce was forged between the Inhumans and the X-Men. Their only hope for peace is to find a cure for the Terrigen poison, and the only ones who can do this are Hank McCoy, aka The Beast, formerly X-Men, and New Human ISO. Even though his race is at the brink of extinction, today, Hank is happy. This threat didn't come from a supervillain or an extraterrestrial attack. This time, the threat is just science. Hank further explains that there will be no need for war, no need to annex soldiers. Husbands and fathers will not have to leave their families. This time, the problem can be solved with his genius mind, and if Queen Medusa speaks true, New Human Iso's mind will also be invaluable. Muir Island. The day is cold and the wind howls like a pack of wolves hungry for flesh. She pays it no mind. Emma Frost lost the love of her life, but his ideas will never die. She steps towards the cliff towering 200 feet above the ground. With a click of her timer, she jumps off. Seconds later, the moment before Emma hits the ground, her skin hardens into diamond. The impact explodes the dirt around her. Emma's mutant power kept her safe. But that wasn't good enough. She needs to do it again. Returning on top of the cliff, she ponders. The Stafford sisters heard the noise and saw her stunt. They question her actions, but Emma isn't hiding anything this time. She tells the girls that she needs to trigger her change faster. The girls interject. They warn their leader that what she is doing is dangerous. Well, that's the point. What better way to train her gift than under that much pressure? Because the next time she goes up against the king of the Inhumans, she will be ready. On board the Royal Inhuman vessel, Crystal and her team follows the Terrigen Cloud heading towards its next destination. Beast and Iso arrives with a gift. A portable Cerebro is brought on board and it will integrate with Inhuman machines just fine. Now, the Inhumans can detect mutant DNA long before the cloud hits a populated city. Shortly after Cerebro's installation, it releases a warning. It detects mutants within the cloud's vicinity. Time to contact, 4 minutes. Hank sees the monitor displaying the cloud heading towards the city. With a quick glimpse, he notices that the cloud is shrinking. Poland. Magneto and his uncanny X-Men plays host to Emma Frost. She isn't here for the wine or the view. Emma arrives to discuss the upcoming war. But before they get down to business, Emma requests for Magneto to throw something metallic at her as fast as he can without warning. Magneto frowns and tells the girl that it is unwise to request such a thing from the Master of Magnetism. Now, to discuss the war. Eric hates the cloud as much as the next mutant, but the situation is quite sensitive. Eric further explains that their king, Black Bolt, can wipe out his entire team with but a whisper. Karnak can see his team's weak spots, and who knows what kind of powers their new humans carry. "Why, Eric," says Frost, "you sound afraid." A dagger wrenches out of his owner's hands and flies directly at Emma's head. It makes contact but breaks into splinters. Emma transforms into her diamond skin at the last second, saving her from certain death. Emma smirks. "Thank you, Eric," she says. "Just what I was looking for." She continues to tell her unpredictable host that she has a plan to destroy the last Terrigen Cloud. She will have her revenge on the woman who ordered Scott's death and the man that carried it out. But Frost needs the Master of Magnetism and the monster who calls him leader. Things must be done. Dark things. And Eric is the darkest man she knows. The Savage Land. A few months back, Hank discovered that the Terrigen Cloud was shrinking at an unusual rate. There is a chance that parts of the cloud found its way here. He hopes not, but it's better to be safe than sorry. This device will help them find out. Detroit. Emma makes contact with the time-displaced X-Men. Iceman, Beast, and Cyclops are there to greet her. Emma informs the young team that they, along with their race, are all going to die unless they help her. Hank wants to know the specifics, but if it is that dire, then his team is in. Emma got her answers without giving too much away. She will be in touch. New Adelan. Hank McCoy brings dire news to the Queen. He informs Medusa that there isn't enough time and resources to produce a cure. All things are possible in science, but his faith in his own abilities has been shook. Medusa steps off her throne. She tells her mutant ally that all things are possible, words taken from Hank himself. Minutes later, alone, Hank feels lost. He thought he could save his race, but now, he isn't an X-Men, and he is no Inhuman. He is a mutant that doesn't belong to either side. He hears something. Hank snuck back to the throne room only to discover that the Queen is in a private meeting with her subjects. Not realizing that she is being watched, Medusa informs her royal family that Hank failed to find a cure. War is upon them. Another attack will come. Inhumans will not start the fight. But they must be ready to win it. The Hellfire Club. Emma meets with the club's new leader. The unseen woman tells Emma that she will have things ready on her end. Hank has 2 months left to find a cure or a solution to avoid the upcoming war. Whatever happens 2 months from now, mutants will be ready. Yesterday, New Adelan. Hank is alerted to a signal from the Savage Land. Terrigen readings have shot through the roof. It is happening. The endgame is finally here. Limbo. At the last safe refuge for mutants, Storm receives a phone call along with the unexpected arrival of Emma Frost. Moments later, Frost enters the room. Storm tells the former queen of the Hellfire Club that she took a phone call from the Beast, the older one. Hank has news, but he wouldn't say anything over the phone. He wants to meet with the representative of every mutant group. When asked if Hank sounds joyous, Storm replies, "No, the opposite actually." Frost scoffs. She now knows that Hank failed. War is here, and she is finally ready. "Don't worry, darling," she states. "Emma's here to save the day." New York City, the quiet room, tonight. Lady Shine takes the stage. She is a newcomer to this profession, and it is her first time performing. But for someone so green, she is truly remarkable. The crowd adores her. What a wonderful addition to Black Bolt's club. Unfortunately, he won't have time to enjoy her performance. Someone, a VIP, is seeking an audience with the king. Russia. The Terrigen cloud is on the footsteps of this small town. Every mutant has been evacuated, except one. Gorgon of the royal Inhuman family will not allow a death on his watch. He finds the mutant, and now they head back to the Inhuman vessel. New Adelan. 3 young girls approach the throne room. They are about to go through Terrigenesis. Queen Medusa welcomes her acolytes with open arms. These 3 girls will join the royal Inhuman family. Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, interrupts the ritual. He informs the Queen that something is coming. Muir Island. Hank McCoy, the Beast, has gathered mutant leaders for a private meeting. He informs his colleagues that he spent the last 8 months working with the Inhumans to figure out a cure to the Terrigen Mpox. He failed, and they are out of time. Hank further explains that there is an increased saturation level all over the world. The cloud is dissipating. The bond that holds the cloud together is getting weak. When it hits its breaking point, it will snap like a rubber band. The Terrigen cloud will cover the earth, and it will become completely uninhabitable for mutants. Hank's intel puts the mutants into a frenzy. Everyone begins to panic in their own way. Emma accuses Storm of putting her mutants in danger in such a place as Limbo. Storm disagrees with Magneto's aggressive approach on keeping mutants safe. Eric reassures everyone that he will do everything he needs to do to keep his people safe. Beast stops the squabbling. Pointing fingers isn't going to help. When asked if he told the Inhumans regarding his discovery, Hank says no. He owes it to his people to tell them first. With a stern command, Magneto wants to hear a solution from the former X-Man. Beast explains that there isn't a solution, only choices. They could leave Earth and start over somewhere else in the galaxy. Or they can die.
"I think you have missed an option, Beast,"
Magneto states.
"We can fight."
Hank is shocked by Magneto's statement. Fight? No. Beast informs the room that the Inhumans are ready for if and when Hank failed to find a cure. If they attack the cloud, the Inhumans have a battle plan in place. Oh, you poor, furry, naive man, Emma states. While Hank worked with the Inhumans on finding a peaceful solution to their problem, Emma took 8 months to prepare for a more aggressive approach. It begins with the Inhuman Karnak. He has the ability to sense flaws, which means he knows that an eventual war is coming between the two species. That's why he will be the first to go. Medusa and her sister Crystal will be handled next. And then there is the king. Black Bolt killed her love, so Emma will have her vengeance. Hank stops her right there. He can't believe that the X-Men are on board with this. He looks to Storm with disappointment. Emma draws his attention away from Ororo. You failed, she yells at the beast. And unlike you, we have plans to neutralize every Royal Inhuman family member. Logan brings forth a small problem. The teleporting dog. This dog can put an end to their plan before it even begins. Emma overlooked one Inhuman. She will not let this advice go to waste. Hank raises his voice to tell the room that this is crazy. They can't attack the cloud. The Inhumans are too powerful, and they will kill mutants if they have to in order to protect the sacred mist. Storm heard enough. She now puts it to a vote. Logan doesn't want to live on Mars. Earth is his home. He votes to stay. Rogue doesn't want to live on Mars either, but an attack on people that never did them harm? She votes no. Forge lived off-planet before. It isn't so bad. Either or, it's fine with him. Young Beast wants the cloud gone. He speaks for his team. Unlike his older counterpart, they still trust him. Storm knows what Magneto and Frost will say. It is settled. The majority has voted to destroy the cloud. Beast cannot reason with the Mutant Council. If they attack the Inhumans, they are going to doom the mutant race. He isn't going to be a part of it. He will return to New Adelan. Suddenly, a lightning strike blindsides the Beast. Storm steps up to the man she once respected and apologizes. Because Emma and Magneto's grand plan, it is her plan as well. The chips are down. All mutant leaders are on board. The time is now. Mutants are ready. The quiet room. Black Bolt enters his private chambers to meet with this VIP. Emma Frost, with wine in hand, greets her most generous host. She notices that the king is tense. He shouldn't be. This is the quiet room, a place where warring nemesis can come, sit down, and converse freely without worry. If anyone breaks this rule, well, then Black Bolt, the walking atomic bomb, will end the fight. And besides, the Inhumans and the X-Men are currently under a truce, a ceasefire. This club is a neutral ground, says Emma, but that only works as long as no one ends you, right? Lady Shine walks in. Emma congratulates the new girl on a well-received performance. You seem puzzled, says Emma. Let me make this clear. Our truce is over. As she transforms into her diamond form, Miss Shine raises a gun towards Black Bolt. This insults the king. He releases his powerful voice towards the new girl. A ray of heavenly light expels from Miss Shine's body. The king's voice didn't work on her. Emma strikes at Black Bolt's throat, stopping him from releasing any more of his atomic voice. With her wig removed, Allison Blair, aka the Dazzler, transforms the awesome power of Black Bolt's earlier attack and redirects it right back at the former. The attack has begun, and mutants drew first blood. Now, it's up to Phantom Max to take out the dog. Meanwhile, Karnak welcomes a mutant visitor. He knew that this day would come, but he never thought that they would send a girl. Maybe the old man Logan, or even the master of magnetism, but not her. Karnak stumbles over his own words. Deja vu? Yes, says the young mutant. In fact, they've had this conversation before, 6 hours ago. The room melts away, revealing the endless abyss. Karnak never saw it coming, but when he gets out, there will be hell to pay. Jean Grey stops him right there. When he gets out, this war will be over. On board the Royal Inhuman vessel, Gorgon did good. He saved the life of this Russian man. Crystal offers him quarters to rest up and a warm meal will be waiting for him. The mutant removes his hood, revealing that they didn't save some random mutant. They brought the Master of Magnetism on board their vessel. He walked right past their external defenses, in the very heart of the beast. Magneto unleashes his mutant power over magnetism to dissect the vessel piece by piece. Every Inhuman on board are subdued by iron and steel. New Adelan. Medusa is now aware that the mutants are on their way to her home. She commands for her team to take action. Johnny doesn't need to be here. He isn't inhuman or a mutant. Well, says Johnny, I have nowhere else to be. And what the hell?
Flame on!
What now? Johnny asks. Medusa says that the truce is still on, so if they are here to talk, then they will talk. If not, then we fight. New Adelan. The dawn of war approaches according to the Human Torch. Johnny Storm offers his aid to defend the Inhumans, but Medusa will not have it. He is not part of this war, and besides, maybe the X-Men just want to talk.
Talk? They brought an army,
Says Johnny.
These aren't just X-Men. They got Sabretooth and Magneto with them.
Medusa will not have it. She commands him away to lend aid to her non-combatant civilians. Queen Medusa makes contact with ISO. The new human is commanded to leave New Adelan to seek out for Black Bolt, Crystal, and Karnak. Something happened to them. Find out what. If the city falls, gather the Inhumans, resist, and when the time is right, take back our home. The mutants arrive at the doorsteps of New Adelan. They unleash their chaos, but the Inhumans' defensive turrets kick in. The guns won't hold the mutants off for long, so Medusa suits up. This is her home. These are her people. She will not let the X-Men steal their future. The defenses have failed and the mutants have breached the compound. They unleash their awesome powers, creating devastation and chaos wherever they go. Storm calls to her people, informing them that their target is the royal Inhuman family. The innocent civilians must be left unharmed. Magneto thinks differently. This is war, and there will be casualties.
Oh, by the way, are we ready for phase 2?
Magic, with her teleportation abilities, takes out Inhuman combatants one by one. Meanwhile, Young Beast breaks into his older self's lab in search of anything that can help his people combat the Terrigen Cloud. Medusa walks in assuming that she is talking to present-day Beast, only to realize that it isn't him. Enraged, Medusa entangles Young Beast and, with her powerful force, she crushes his body onto the pavement. Suddenly, Nightcrawler arrives and, with a fraction of a second, he teleports the Queen of the Inhumans away. ISO and fellow Inhuman Inferno heads towards the hangar bay to make their escape. They are the messengers and they must escape to rally their forces. The hangar door opens. All they can hear are cannon fire which lights up the night sky. But the true danger lies in the Sabretooth standing in their way. Suddenly, a firestorm takes out the uncanny X-Men. Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, found his purpose in the war. But he made a mistake. You never turn your back on Sabretooth. Victor Creed's Berserker Rage kicks in and he will tear the Human Torch to shreds. Johnny Storm fights back, but ISO and Inferno will not have the opportunity to lend a hand. Their mission is not to fight. Their mission is to run. Storm got word that there are 2 Inhumans escaping via a sky sled. She radios the Wolverine to track them down and take them in. Laura Kinney got her mission, and her ride, the Angel, has arrived. Magic reports that they got all of their targets in limbo, while Angel catches up to his target. He gets Wolverine right on top of the vessel, and then he lets go. Wolverine releases her claws and dives down like a rocket. She makes contact and destroys a flying vessel into shrapnel. The new humans land safely thanks to ISO's power, but Wolverine wasn't saved. Laura Kinney landed hard. Her mutant powers will kick in and she will continue her rampage. There is also the Angel flying around somewhere, but fortune favors the bold. ISO and Inferno made it. They reached the Living Gate Eldrac. With his powers, he can teleport anyone anywhere in the world, but something is wrong. He isn't responding. The situation gets worse as the Angel arrives and the Wolverine regains consciousness. With her claws out, Laura leaps towards the new humans, but at the last second, Eldrac reawakens and he activates his powers. ISO and Inferno reawaken somewhere else. They thank their lucky stars that they got away from the bloodthirsty Wolverine. Unfortunately for the new humans, with one Wolverine gone, brings forth another one, out of the furnace and into the fire. Alberta, Canada. New Human Inferno keeps the old man Logan busy, while New Human ISO engages Forge. It would be pointless for Inferno to brawl it out with Logan, so he lets the X-Men in close. With his molten powers, the Inhuman lights up the X-Men. Meanwhile, ISO discovers Forge's machine that would compress the Terrigen Cloud into a solid state. The plan was to incinerate the cloud thereafter. ISO jumps into action and releases her powers to destroy the machine. Forge is powerless to stand in her way. New Adelan, hours later. Mutants have claimed the Inhuman home. Storm receives a call. Logan reports that their plan to use Forge's machine to destroy the second cloud failed. The two Inhumans have escaped, and they took Forge with them. Limbo. The Royal Inhuman family are caged along with Johnny Storm and other New Humans. They know this isn't hell. At least in hell, there are gateways to get out. This is Limbo, and there is no escape. But there is always hope. The X-Men struck a coordinated attack on the Inhumans. That means that Karnak and Black Bolt are probably taken off the field. But the X-Men never knew about the New Humans currently out there with wonderful powers. And besides, Limbo isn't only full of monsters and demons. The X-Men school is also here. If they can get out of their cell, then the Inhumans can find answers at the X-Haven. Somewhere in the skies above Canada, ISO and Inferno concocts a plan. They cannot take on New Adelan with just themselves. They will need an army. The mutants couldn't have taken out every Inhuman member, so they reach out to an Inhuman who they know has yet to join the war. Miss Marvel answers the call. She knows they will need an army, so she reaches out to every Inhuman on her list. Moments later, Camilla Khan has gathered a small army consisting of the Devil Dinosaur, Moon Girl, Synapse, Grid, Reader, Quake, and Mosaic. These New Humans are eager to test their mettle against the mutants. Meanwhile, Karnak grows restless. He may be stuck in Marvel Girl's illusion, but that's the thing with Karnak. He can always find a flaw, and he will exploit it. Karnak made progress and he escapes Jean Grey's illusion, but once out, he finds that escape is gonna require much more work. The Inhuman finds himself in the world, a self-contained artificial eco-environment designed to develop and evolve new generations of super soldiers. Jean Grey did admirably in holding Karnak, but now, Phantom Mex is up next. Muir Island. The X-Men regroup in present-day Beast's prison cell. Mutants all over the world are growing sick from the Terrigen mist. Time is running out, and their only hope was the machine that Forge built. Forge has gone missing, and the machine was destroyed, so now, there is only one course of action. Find Forge and find those two New Humans keeping him captive. Logan is ordered to divide up the mutants into two search and rescue teams, while Storm gets Cerebra to search for their missing comrade. Rogue is concerned about their actions. Limbo will not hold the Royal Inhuman family for long. The Inhumans will be furious when they break free. "You think they're mad now, Rogue?" says Frost. "God forbid they find Black Bolt." Mutant kind has taken the advantage. The Inhuman leaders are imprisoned in Limbo, and the X-Men are working on destroying the remaining Terrigen Cloud. Hope for all Inhumans now rests in the hands of these New Humans who have evaded capture. New Human, Reader, and Mosaic now sets off to infiltrate Muir Island. Meanwhile, the Royal Inhuman family concocts a plan to escape their prison spire. Escape seems impossible, but Medusa identifies that sound, light, and air can pass through their barrier. She instructs Flint to use his powers over the earth to create an amplifier. Gorgon will use his sonic stomp to break the ground and destroy the shield generator housed at the bottom of the spire. Amplified by Flint's creation, Gorgon releases his sonic stomp which destroys the shield generator. The plan worked, but now, the demons of Limbo have noticed their release. They converge upon the royal family, but the Inhumans are prepared. They lay waste to every demon in sight. When the dust cloud clears, Medusa and her family stands victorious. Now, off to X-Haven. Muir Island, new human reader opened a gateway allowing their infiltrator expert Mosaic to find Magneto and find out what the X-Men have planned. Even with all the blonde telepaths on Muir Island, Mosaic roams around undetected. He finds the old man with a helmet and he takes over. Once inside Magneto's mind, Mosaic gets flooded with information. Black Bolt is down, Medusa and the family is in limbo, Karnak locked in the world, and the present-day Beast is held captive by his own people.
Get out of my head!
Time has run out for Mosaic as Magneto reawakens. His control over the body is weakening, so Mosaic excuses himself from the war room. Moments later, Magneto manages to push the intruder out of his mind. The new human only lets his guard down for just one moment until one of the Stafford sisters notices his presence. Magneto yells out that their base has been compromised by an Inhuman. Seconds later, young Iceman informs the leaders that one of their Blackbirds has gone missing. Storm radios into Cerebra to take the bird down, but unfortunately, the stolen vessel has entered stealth mode. Storm can feel her control on this mission loosening. She contacts Colossus, inquiring on the status of the royal Inhuman family. The X-Man doesn't have good news. Medusa broke free, and her Inhumans are on the doorsteps of X-Haven. Storm doesn't have anyone to send in for reinforcements at the moment, so she asks her comrades to stall for as long as possible. Medusa breaks through the doors of X-Haven. They need to find Black Bolt, so Forge's workshop seems like a good place to start. Johnny Storm is ordered to set the grounds on fire to put fear into any mutant students who would dare stand in their way. He does so, but with reluctance.
Flame on!
The stage is set and the Inhumans are ready to enter the compound. But before they can take another step, a mysterious figure covered in flames approaches. The Colossus stands before the Inhumans. He states,
Alright, my friends. Who is to be first?
Jersey City, Ms. Marvel and the New Humans await Mosaic's return. Instead, the X-Men's vessel arrives. The team prepares themselves for battle, only to find out that Mosaic hijacked young Cyclops' body to pilot the ship. Mosaic informs his team that the royal family are in a place called Limbo, but that wasn't the important part. He discovered that in a matter of days, the Terrigen Cloud will cover the Earth and all mutants will suffer extinction. They attacked us, but they had no choice. Mutants either leave the Earth or they die. You guys, says Miss Marvel. Who are the good guys? Karnak finds himself in the world, a self-contained research facility, and home to the Weapon Plus program. Jean Grey did what she could to occupy the Inhuman fighter, but now, Phantom X is up. He engages the Inhuman, but Karnak isn't one to lose that easily. Ms. Marvel prepares for another psychic attack, but Karnak puts an end to that. Phantom X finds an opening to strike at Karnak, but the Inhuman counters. Phantom X calls on EVA to lend a hand, but with a precision strike at the X-Men's vessel, the whole ship goes crashing down. Following the attack, Karnak finds himself the only one standing. Not long after, he discovers an imprisoned Lockjaw, his ticket out of this place. Limbo, the Inhumans force themselves to the doorsteps of Forge's workshop in hopes of locating their king, while Gorgon keeps the X-Men Colossus busy. The royal family steps forth into the workshop, weary of possible death traps. Luckily for the Inhumans, no death traps were discovered, and they even managed to find Black Bolt. The problem is, Alex Summers, aka Havoc, is standing guard. The Inhumans killed his big brother. That queen ordered his death, and the king was the executioner. By activating his sonic powers, Havoc can kill their king. He is angry, and he needs someone to take his frustrations out on. But he is one, and they are many. If he kills their king, they will end him, and he knows it. Alex clears his head. He tells the invaders that this isn't a fight about the Terrigen Cloud. It is all about Emma and Scott. Black Bolt is free to go, but they're still stuck in Limbo. It's not like they have anywhere else to go. Jersey City. ISO and her new humans have bartered a temporary truce with Forge and young Cyclops of the X-Men. Forge, with Moon Girl's help, is able to make another Terrigen Cloud Destroyer, but they need materials. ISO knows just a place to get them. She will find Uhura, son of their king and queen. He will have the parts they need. Before ISO departs, New Human Grid reminds her that their action goes against Medusa's wishes. Reluctantly, ISO states, "I know that, Grid. I know." The world. With Reader's help, Synapse locates the Inhuman Karnak. She begins to explain everything to her comrade, but he silences her. There is much to do, but first, they gotta wake up a drugged Lockjaw. Iceland. Miss Marvel's team arrives at the next location where the Terrigen Cloud will be. The team takes a moment to take in the land's scenic view, but suddenly, Emma Frost makes her appearance, followed by the X-Men. They converge upon the New Humans, but young Cyclops has other plans. Scott turns heaven side. He preemptively blasts his optic beam directly at Frost. X-Haven. Gorgon is bludgeoned, beaten by the Colossus. The X-Men heads towards the workshop to cut off the Inhumans, but instead of finding a fight, he discovers Havoc. No bruises, no nothing. No signs of a fight. Havoc informs his comrade that a hooded guy came with a teleporting dog. They took their people out. When asked as to why Havoc didn't put up a fight, Alex states that he could have killed Black Bolt. He owes Scott something, he knows that. But Alex doesn't owe his brother that. While Medusa and her family recovers in the Philippines, Ms. Marvel's New Humans engage in epic battle against the mutant nation. Scott made his choice and he sides with his new allies. His optic blast misses his target. Frost psionically attacks a young man, but Ms. Marvel comes to his aid. Storm commands the skies, but she never gone up against anyone like Mosaic. He take over Aurora's body. Her powers are his to command. Grid attacks the old man with his electromagnetic abilities. The master of magnetism scoffs at his efforts. Magneto easily cancels out his attack. Enough is enough. High above, he brings forth the Blackbird and directs it at the squabbling children below. Iceland. Shortly after a standstill between the New Humans and the Mutant Nation, the Royal Inhuman family arrives. The Master of Magnetism turns towards the Inhumans, his Blackbird ready to strike. Medusa orders Crystal and Johnny to utilize their powers to intercept. Johnny blows up the Blackbird, while Crystal launches an enormous ice shard directly at the old man. The Inhumans caught the mutants by surprise. They took out Magneto. Well, Frost has now gathered her forces. She orders the Stepford sisters to take the minds of these New Humans, while she takes control of the Human Torch. Chaos erupts as the New Humans, controlled by the Stepford sisters, attack Medusa and her Inhumans, while Johnny, under Emma's influence, takes a shot at the Queen. Mosaic is ready to use Storm's power to even out the playing field, but the Inhuman Naja inadvertently takes out Storm, thus taking out a fellow Inhuman. Black Bolt's voice is still damaged. He isn't at full strength, but the king is far from useless. He lunges at Emma, but she defends with her diamond form. Her defense pierces Black Bolt's shoulders, but he wasn't the attack. He was the distraction. Lockjaw teleports in and strikes Emma within the melee. Seconds later, Colossus and Havoc arrives on the battlefield. Colossus is horrified at what he is witnessing, but Havoc isn't. You see, Havoc didn't yield to the Inhumans in limbo. He let them leave so that he is in position to outflank the enemy. Across the battlefield, Medusa takes out Psylocke, but she is fighting a losing war. More mutants are teleporting in, and they are now outnumbered. Black Bolt doesn't have his atomic voice, but even if he does, the king is down. Medusa will not yield to these cursed mutants. They attack their home. They kidnap her people. They will know what it means to wage war against the Inhuman nation. Uhura, son of Medusa and Black Bolt, came through with the parts that Forge needed to rebuild the Terrigen bomb. He also brought a fleet of battleships. The ships rained down cannon fire directly at the mutants, giving the Inhumans a bit more breathing room. While the mutants are occupied, ISO and Moon Girl shares valuable intel to their queen regarding the extinction of the mutant species once the cloud saturates the earth. The mutants couldn't risk prolonging their eventual fate and displeasing the Inhumans. Their only course of action to secure their future is to wage war. Moongirl presents a detonation control. By pressing the button, the battleships will destroy the Terrigen Cloud. Moongirl and the Inhumans have no right to make this big decision on their own. It has to come from the person who leads their nation. It must come from Medusa. The decision came simple. Medusa presses the button. The battleships activate. Endless rumble followed by a blinding white light. The Terrigen retreats, and the skies turn blue. It is done. The fight is over. Mutants got what they came for, but Emma Frost doesn't see it that way. The Inhumans killed her Scott. They murdered him. They don't get to walk away from that. Young Scott yells out that is a lie. Cyclops died long before Madrid. Emma made them think Black Bolt did it. Emma instigated this war. With her vile secret exposed, Emma sees no other option. She activates her plan B. Suddenly, 4 solid metal cannonballs fell from the heavens. Emerging from the crater are 4 heavily armed Sentinel-class destroyers. Their mission, to capture or exterminate anyone with mutant DNA. But, after a bit of tinkering, they now have a taste for Inhumans. They turn to the skies and blows up the Zeppelins to bits. Ahura, son of the king and queen, mourns for his people whom perish on the vessel, while the old man Logan rescues New Human Inferno from the blast. After seeing the gigantic metal monsters, Forge's memory kicks back in. Emma made him build them. They are hers to command. The X-Men Sentinel Cerebra prepares to go to war, but suddenly, he erupts in brilliant explosion. Emma doesn't stand alone on her war. Magneto stands with her. With the aid of Magneto and the 4 Sentinel destroyers, Emma truly has the upper hand. The Inhumans and mutants have stopped their squabbling. They now see the chaos and they have reservations. Well, not if Medusa can help it. The king and queen will do what they need to do to inspire. They will be the light in the darkness. They will lead the charge for both Inhumans and mutants alike. Black Bolt drops Medusa on top of a Sentinel. Quick words were exchanged between Frost and Medusa before the Human Torch lights up one of Frost's enforcers. During the scuffle, Frost loses control of Magneto. His mind is his own to command, and Eric is pissed that Frost used him like a puppet. On the ground, Medusa subdues Frost. She defends with her diamond form, so Medusa puts on the squeeze. Havoc came to Frost's aid, but he didn't do it to save the White Queen. He owed Scott something. That debt is now paid. Muir Island later that day, present-day Hank McCoy is released from his cell. The mutants pick up from where they left, but it will never be the same. Emma Frost went underground. For her treachery, she is wanted by the Inhumans and mutants alike. She will resurface, so the hunt for Frost will be on hold until the White Queen re-emerges. New Adelan. Queen Medusa breaks the news to her people. Going through Terrigenesis was a birthright, a journey to enlightenment, a transformation to their true form. Now, that right is gone. The Inhumans' legacy doesn't outweigh the lives of their neighbors, the mutants. It had to be done, and Queen Medusa knows it. The decision to destroy the cloud is accompanied with Medusa's decision to step down as queen. This role will go to Iso, a well-respected new human. The people will listen to her. Medusa is now free from all expectations. She is free from the burden that accompanied the crown. Her first decision is to end her relationship with Johnny Storm. Her next decision is to visit the Quiet Room. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Comic Island. My name is Joey, and thank you so much for sticking around to the bitter end. I compare this event to a roller coaster ride. There were a lot of ups and downs. Some of the best moments in this entire story arc are Dazzler taking out Black Bolt, Emma's vendetta for Cyclops' death, Mosaic, a new Inhuman, and a major change to the Marvel Universe. What I mean by this is the Terrigen Mist finally is destroyed. What I didn't like about this story arc was the hype building up to the big climactic battle that I didn't feel I got. The skirmishes between the Inhumans and the X-Men are very forgettable, and like most hero versus hero storylines, the ending never gave us a clear winner. Emma Frost turns out to be the antagonist, the reason for both species to rally behind and end their warring. So, that being said, I think everyone saw that coming from a mile away. So, does this event hold any weight? Will it be mentioned again in the future? Does the war change how the Inhumans and X-Men treat each other? I don't think so. It was, like I said, a roller coaster ride with a lot of its ups and downs, and I don't think this event will leave a big impression on the Marvel Universe. That being said, what did you think about this issue? What do you think about the whole story arc? Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like what we do and want to support us, I recommend checking out our Patreon page. The link will be in the description below. Thanks again, and if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time in another Comic Island video.